The average American retires at 64. They spend 43 years working. They get maybe 15 good years after that before their health declines. That is the default path. But there is a group of people who figured out how to exit the system at 40. Not by winning the lottery. Not by inheriting money. By understanding one equation that changes everything. It is called FIRE. Financial independence, retire early. And today I am going to show you the exact math. No fluff. No motivation. Just numbers. This is not for tech millionaires. This is for someone earning $60,000 to $100,000 a year. A normal salary. A normal life. An abnormal result. By the end of this video, you will know your exact number. The amount you need to never work again. And exactly how many years it takes to get there based on one single variable. Chapter 1. The one number that matters. Forget your income. Forget your job title. Forget how much you make per hour. The only number that determines when you can retire is your savings rate. The percentage of your take-home pay that you do not spend. If you save 10% of your income, you will work for 51 years before you can retire. If you save 25%, you work for 32 years. If you save 50%, you work for 17 years. If you save 75%, you work for 7 years. Read that again. A person saving 50% of their income can retire in 17 years regardless of whether they earn $40,000 or $400,000. The percentage is what matters. Not the dollar amount. This is the most counterintuitive fact in personal finance. A teacher saving 50% retires at the same age as a surgeon saving 50%. The math does not care about your salary. It only cares about the ratio. Why does this work? Because your savings rate determines two things simultaneously. How much you accumulate each year. And how little you need to live on. A high savings rate attacks the problem from both sides. Chapter 2. The 4% Rule. In 1994, financial advisor William Bengen studied every 30-year period in stock market history going back to 1926. He asked one question. What is the maximum percentage you can withdraw from a portfolio each year without running out of money? The answer was 4%. In every single 30-year period, including the Great Depression and every crash since, a portfolio survived if you withdrew no more than 4% per year adjusted for inflation. This means your retirement number is simple. Take your annual expenses. Multiply by 25. That is how much you need invested to never work again. If you spend $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. If you spend $60,000, you need $1.5 million. If you spend $30,000, you only need $750,000. Your spending determines your target. Most people hear $1 million and think impossible. But remember, if you save 50% of a $70,000 salary, you are living on $35,000 a year. Your number is only $875,000. Suddenly it is reachable. The 4% rule is not perfect. Some argue 3.5% is safer for early retirees with 50-year horizons. Others say 5% works if you are flexible with spending in down years. But 4% is the baseline that has survived a century of data. Chapter 3. A real example. $75,000 salary. You are 22. You just graduated. Your starting salary is $55,000. After taxes, you take home $3,600 a month. You decide to save 50%. $1,800 goes to investments every single month. You live on $1,800 a month. Rent is $700 in a shared apartment. Food is $350 cooking at home. Transport is $150. Phone and internet $100. That leaves $500 for everything else. Tight but doable. Your annual expenses are $21,600. Multiply by 25. Your FIRE number is $540,000. That is your finish line. At 25, your salary grows to $65,000. You keep your lifestyle the same. Your savings rate jumps to 58%. The extra money goes straight to investments. You do not upgrade anything. At 28, salary hits $75,000. Savings rate is now 63%. Your portfolio has grown to $192,000 with market returns. You are 36% of the way to freedom in just 6 years. At 32, your portfolio crosses $380,000. Compound interest is now doing more work than your contributions. The snowball is rolling. You can feel the momentum. At 37, your portfolio hits $540,000. You are done. 15 years of intentional living. You never earned more than $85,000 in any single year. And you are financially free at 37. Not 40. 37. 3 years ahead of schedule because compound interest accelerates in the final stretch. The math rewards patience exponentially. Chapter 4. What FIRE actually looks like day to day. People imagine fire means eating rice and beans in a dark apartment for 15 years. That is not what this looks like. It looks like cooking at home instead of ordering delivery. Driving a reliable used car instead of leasing new. Living in a studio instead of a one-bedroom. It looks like saying no to the third streaming service. Bringing lunch to work. Taking vacations by driving instead of flying. Small consistent choices that compound into freedom. The people who fail at fire try to cut everything at once. They go from spending 100% to spending 40% overnight. They burn out in 3 months and quit. The ones who succeed reduce spending by 5% every 6 months until they hit their target rate. Fire is not about suffering now to live later. It is about identifying what actually makes you happy and cutting everything that does not. Most people discover they were spending thousands on things that added zero joy. A study of fire practitioners found that 83% reported higher life satisfaction during the accumulation phase than before they started. Not after retirement. During the saving years. Having a clear purpose and watching progress daily changes how you experience life. Chapter 5. The Objections. Objection 1. I cannot save 50% on my salary. Fine. Save 30%. You retire in 28 years instead of 17. Start at 25, retire at 53. Still 11 years earlier than average. Even a 35% savings rate gets you to retirement in 25 years. Start at 22, done at 47. Start at 30, done at 55. Every percentage point above the average 15% buys you years of freedom. Objection 2. What about healthcare? In the United States, ACA marketplace plans cost $300 to $700 a month for an individual depending on your state. Budget for it. It is a known expense, not a mystery. Objection 3. What if the market crashes right when I retire? This is why the 4% rule uses historical worst cases. It already accounts for retiring at the worst possible moment. And most fire practitioners keep 1 to 2 years of expenses in cash as a buffer. Objection 4. I have kids. Kids cost money. Yes. The USDA estimates $237,000 per child to age 18. But fire families adjust. They save 40% instead of 50. They retire at 45 instead of 40. Still 20 years early. Every objection has a math-based answer. The question is never can I do this. The question is how much am I willing to adjust to make this possible. The math always works. The psychology is the hard part. Chapter 6. The 3 levers. There are only 3 ways to reach fire faster. Earn more. Spend less. Get higher investment returns. Most people focus on one. The fastest path uses all 3 simultaneously. Lever 1. Earn more. A side income of $1,000 a month invested entirely adds $173,000 to your portfolio over 10 years. That alone can shave 3 to 4 years off your timeline. Lever 2. Spend less. Cutting $500 a month from expenses does 2 things. It adds $500 to investments and it reduces your fire number by $150,000. Double impact from one change. Lever 3. Higher returns. Moving from a savings account at 0.5% to index funds averaging 7 to 10% is the difference between retiring at 65 and retiring at 40. Where you put the money matters as much as how much you save. You do not need to be extreme on any single lever. Earn 10% more. Spend 15% less. Invest properly. Combined, these moderate changes can cut a decade off your working life. Chapter 7. What happens after you retire at 40? Most people who reach fire do not stop working entirely. They stop working for money. They start working on what they actually care about. The blog they always wanted to write. The business idea that was too risky when rent depended on a paycheck. Some travel slowly. Spending 3 months in Portugal, 2 months in Thailand. Geographic arbitrage means their $40,000